The Expendables 2 stars every action hero from the 80s, 90s, and a little bit of the 2000s. I mean, we have Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, Chuck Norris, Jason Statham, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And and of course, with every Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you always have to use a pun from Terminator, like this.
I'll be back.
I have to admit, this is one of my guilty pleasure movies. Now, going into it, I'm not going to expect a long, drawn out, I'm not going to expect a well thought out or well written story. All I'm expecting from this movie is action, action, and action. And this movie, it delivered. The opening scene in this movie was one of the best scenes I've seen in an action movie in a long time. I mean, what Jet Li did with pans in this movie was like crazy. I mean, seriously crazy. And pretty much, the plot for this movie is pretty much basic, like I said, or mediocre. Bruce Willis's character wants Stallone's character to pay a debt that they failed to do in the first movie. And I was alright with that. I'm going into the movie expecting nothing but action. This movie was very self-aware because you have Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, and Sylvester Stallone. The top three guys in action movies of the 80s. And of course, like I said before, it had puns in it. And it was very self-aware when it came to that. Of course, when every time you have Arnold Schwarzenegger in a movie that involves action, of course you gotta say this.
I'll be back.
And you know what? And it made fun of that. And I thought it was really gonna overwork it or overdo it, and it didn't do that for me. And I thought it was very funny because they played on each other's lines. Every time Chuck Norris came on scene, the song that they used every time was really funny. Expendables 2 was a very self-aware movie, and the action lived up. I mean, this is an action-filled movie, and I know when you go into this movie, don't expect Oscar performances, don't expect a well thought out written story. I'm going into it as a pure action movie, and for me, it lived up to that. And then the reason why I was excited for this movie was Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, I'm a huge Jean-Claude Van Damme. That guy, for his age, stays in shape, and he can still do his thing when it comes to fighting. I mean, the guy is 55, 54 years old. He still does his thing. I mean, all of them do in this movie. The problems with this movie, of course, the story is kind of basic. The story kind of goes a little dry towards the middle of the movie, but it picks up. The action is worth the wait in this movie. I was kind of disappointed with the little fight scene that they had with Sylvester Stallone and Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I can live with that. The Expendables 2 is an action-filled movie that lives up to the hype. If you're an action movie type of guy, then you enjoy it. If you're a man, you enjoy it. If you don't like this movie for the action itself, then I don't know what to say. Like I said before, the puns in this movie were really good, and it was self-aware. And for that, I'm gonna give The Expendables 2 a good 3.5 out of 5 stars. A very solid 3.5 out of 5 stars. Rating it as just a pure action movie. This movie had a lot of puns. I'm gonna do something different. So if you like this review,
come out to the coast, we'll get together, have a few laughs.
And
I'll be back.